Hello and welcome to Galactic Goddess podcast and TV. Welcome to another episode of Deprogrammed, episode 12. And this one is called The Collective Wound. And this is part of the Roots of Deprogrammed. So welcome, Alanna.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, you guys. We're doing another late night session, which Alanna and I were like, we end up always doing late night sessions because we get divinely inspired. We talk on the phone and we're like, let's just do a podcast. So this is basically something that we would talk about, personal, but we realized that there is a need for this conversation to be not so personal and to be shared. And so going back to the roots of our show, Deprogrammed, Alanna and I both discuss a lot of our personal stories and the similarities, specifically around mind control and, removing the layers and getting back to the core of ourselves for us, for all women and men. And we've both done some research. And so, Alanna, please take the stage.
Yeah, we were on the phone earlier, just catching up on some things, and there we go again, getting conversation, and next thing you know, we're like, do you want to do a show? Yeah. So these are usually inspired by, like, I feel like from each time we talk to each other, we go from, we spend a week not talking, and then we come back and collectively figure out, wounds that need to be healed in the collective, right? And so tonight we were touching base upon the way we can be triggered by things in our life and we don't even know why we're triggered by them. It comes from abandonment, from trauma, from our childhood. It comes from such little things that, they're big things, but they're little in our subconscious mind that we don't really know that they're there, because our pain body can cover up who we truly are at our core. So we're discussing that. And so, yeah, that's what the conversation is going to be about tonight. And we're going to go over a little bit of our personal experiences and how they're kind of similar.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing because we lived in two different places. We're both, from California. I was born in Stanford. And you were born in Los Angeles. But we both have memories and I wrote a whole chapter about it called Fragmented Memories. What they are basically memories that are strong inserts of memories, but then they're like, it's very jagged, like you try to put them together. And then there's sort of things that just kind of loop or haunt your consciousness, right? They don't really haunt you as far as like you're not thinking about them all the time, but they're curious things that you sit back and you're like, can someone please tell me about this, please? What was this about? What was this about? What was this about? And you don't get any answers. For me, and I feel, pretty personal sharing this stuff. So if you easily get emotionally affected, you might not want to watch this video. But for me, the certain triggers are like white vans, certain memories from my childhood, and honestly, you can read the whole chapter because it's pretty intensive. But this sort of feeling as a child of feeling of being abducted really is what it comes down to. I'll just say it,
or being watched,
or being stalked, or having experiences that are unexplainable. For me, that was like the experience where I interacted with somebody who could telepathically communicate with me. But it wasn't particularly a benevolent person or being. So all of these things come back as certain triggers, right? With certain people that come into our lives, and especially around relationships and things like that, they can really trigger and activate something inside of you that you're like, whoa, this isn't how I usually
And makes you feel unstable.
Yeah, it destabilizes you. It's like an earthquake. So a certain prototype of person can come into your life and really just their saying hello or connecting with you can feel very activating, but not necessarily in like an activation way that's positive, but more of an activation that's really destabilizing.
Distracting,
yeah. And it sort of brings forward, like, it's like I told you earlier, it's like being on a train and being like this, but then when certain person comes, it's like jumping to a different train track, if that makes sense, like a different direction.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really intense. When you were talking, I got the words interference, intrusive, and invasive. You know, it's like this energy that makes you feel like, it doesn't let you just rest. It doesn't let you rest.
Yeah.
It's always something that wants to come back up, that wants to be healed, which is why we brought the collective wound, because these are like archetypes of energy, right? We're archetypes. We're manifesting this drama rules as a collective.
Yes.
And it comes out in different ways. And I think a lot of it has to do with our ancestry and what they've actually endured, and the levels of programming and trauma that has gone down generationally between bloodlines and families. And I think for big reasons, because of the bloodlines, right? Because of the Sangral, you know, the holy bloodlines in relation to like the Holy Grail. Like, I think that the trauma part of it is a collective that's been given to us to genetically distort us and our DNA. I think you just did a show about genetic distortions of DNA. And so part of it's accidental programming from our previous shows that we've talked about. And part of it, so it's like a persecution of lineages and blood, you know? So why? You know, why are some people persecuted and followed and targeted, and why are some people not? And it's, you know, and some people even say, well, it's all in your mind, it's all in your head. But really, when we look at it, there's so much going on here that we really don't know why completely. So I'm trying to stay, it's so much going on, but, you know, a lot of things came through when you were talking. So
please do share. I think it's important because I think the collective, you know, I don't think anyone has gone through the collective and not gone through trauma, whether it's through their lineage or through themselves, right? And there's many different forms. There's trauma that you remember, and there's trauma that you disassociate from. There's trauma that is in your subconscious mind that's, you know, really deep. And there's trauma that's in your conscious mind that, like, oh, like, I know somebody was mean to me when I was a kid. But there might be other traumas that are so intense that you fragment during them, that you can't even hold it really as a full spectrum thought. And so then when you get older, you start to, it's almost like
dissociate.
Yeah, you dissociate. But the pieces start to come back together sometimes, if you can handle it. And so that creates a split. It can create a split in your personality. It can create a split in you. Yeah, definitely in your personality, where you have like a main personality, but then you have a split where this other alter comes through. And so, you know, this is not some like fantasy, you know, like we're just talking about some crazy stuff. You know, this stuff really happens, right? So this happens to a lot of people. In fact,
I love how you said, if you can handle it, the fragments come back if you can handle it, because it's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's why our mind is so powerful. It literally blocks out traumatic events, so it protects us. But people who know how to take advantage of that thing about the human, about the innocent human, is that they do dissociate, and they can create alters, different personalities, and it can be used for many things and to carry out many different agendas.
Yeah.
So that's why they have handlers to handle it for you.
Exactly. And they just handle it for you. But you know, you have to understand something on a soul level, that souls are, that there are beings that understand what souls are coming in. They actually can trace you from the reincarnation process to what body you're going to embody, what lineage. That's how advanced technology is for some beings. And so why would you go through something like that? You know, you're a highly sensitive empath. You're somebody that wants nothing but love in the world. You carry the codes of love. You carry healing energies. So why would anybody want to, you know, hurt you? And I'm not a person of that thinks like, oh, the world is against you. No, I think the universe is always working in our favor and in my favor. I don't think like that. Like, that's not negative thinking. It's actually empowering to understand that not everyone thinks the way that you do. If you want to be really true, intelligence is understanding that there are different kinds of intelligence and that there are different ways of thinking, and that you know, that's okay. We're not always going to have to think the same. Some beings think domination and control is the best, right? That's just how they're created.
And also, oh yeah, I really want to hear what you're saying. I'm gonna listen.
And so others come here to bring in that light, that they're carrying the light codes. And so when someone drops in that's carrying those light codes, you know, sometimes their energies are tracked through not just one lifetime, lifetimes, right? And their energies and their consciousness are so like go through the butcher that they don't know who they are anymore. They're like, oh, you know, they're disassociated their whole life. They can't really function anymore. They forgot why they came here, or, you know, their true essence, their heart energy is so disrupted and distorted. They're not able to carry through with their highest intention. And so you know, you have to understand there's a spiritual warfare going on this earth. That's not being negative, guys. All right. It's just how it's been since the beginning, you know, eons of time.
It's a lot. I'm taking it in. I had like emotional moment for a second, because I just can look at people sometimes and I could see how sad people are. And because they can't, they're like in prison cells inside of themselves. And, you know, even people who use alcohol and drugs, and people are beating themselves up because they want to get out, they can't get out of it. And it's like, it all comes from the trauma. And sometimes it almost feels like it's purposeful. You know, it's like you got to protect yourself. You got to become aware of what's going on. And let's see, the light codes. Yeah, light codes. People are targeted before they come in, and the star systems have a lot to do with it. See, there's a lot of stuff to learn about the mother-daughter connection, like the birthing process of coming into the physical body. I think it has to do with the beginning of time, you know, the beginning of the birthing started happening somewhere. And it's like, there's a split. There's been a split from that aspect of source for so long that we're dealing with the collective large wound. It's like a gaping wound. And so it's just manifesting in so many dark, with twisted ways. And it's so much. I'm like, wow. But my heart, I feel for the people, and like, and I often found myself wanting to nurture, and like, because the mother aspect comes through me, and it's like, it's a lot, but like, you have to give everyone their own process. And like, I totally respect that, understand that, but it's like, you know, it's just, that's part of the light work, is like, you come here to do that work. And yes, like, it attracts like a fly and the light switch. It attracts people that those beings that actually are looking to be healed, but they don't know that they want to be healed, you know? So
It is. It's a very intense process. A lot of the spiritual community doesn't want to discuss these sorts of things because there's a fear that you're being negative. I think true negativity is being disassociated with the way the law of the land, the way things have been for so long. That's total disassociation. That's like, let's push it all under the rug, pretend like that's not happening, and we're just gonna, fly our magical wings. But it's like your wings come out.
That's why Disney pisses me off so much.
Yeah, I mean, please.
Oh no, it distracts you from that, from your coming out with your wings.
It's I think it's great to service, not to really understand the dark. We didn't come here just to be beacons of light. Many of us that carry those light codes and represent that unconditional love aspect have been asked to go through the darkest of dark. It's at times seemed very unbearable, but it allowed us, and I say us, to know our strength, to know our abilities, to know that we could survive anything, even the things we never thought we could ever survive, the darkest of dark hours. And so when we come from also another perspective, we understand that this is an academy, Earth Academy, and that this is the highest PhD program in town as far as the universe goes. And that's why it's the toughest. And that's why we're getting such intense training in our light. And so I don't, I get very sad when I see things going on in the world, and especially to children. I have like this mama fierceness to protect children, and I never think a child should ever be hurt, abused, looked at as anything other than the innocent child that it is, that they are. Because the light of a child is pure innocence, and it is a mortal sin to disrupt that innocence. That's the ultimate sin to do to a child. And that's also how many of these beings obtain their power source, their energy, we were talking about being like a battery,
There's a lot of demons out there.
I mean, yes. And I'm not trying to scare you or be negative. I think in light of many things going on, you will soon understand what I'm referring to. I don't really have to explain the whole thing to you. It is coming out, and it will continue to come out in ways that many people are not prepared to even, they're going to disassociate, you know what I mean, from what's going to come out, because the truth can be unbearable. And this is really for us, it's like it's part of the process for us to come and share this, just to have this conversation. We mean no harm. We're only here to share, because we're here to soften the blow. In the near future, there will be a lot of things with a lot of people that by their face, by their name, by their position of power and wealth and beauty and influence. And they may be people that you didn't think they were. So, this is not about making people wrong. I'm not here to hate on anybody. We're just having a pure conversation from our hearts. We were called to talk about this because it's in our heart, because both of us have had tears over these things. And, we've been both unraveling certain pieces in our own history. and we come together trying to piece them together, because we have pieced things together that we both remember. And so we met for a reason. Alanna and I met for a reason, because we're here to talk about deprogramming, because we've both been under programming, so that is part of our sole purpose, is to share that it's possible to unwind from these things, to come back to your soul, come back to yourself, come back to your divinity, come back to your innocence, come back to your truth of your being, that no one could ever take that away from you. And that's your right, as a human becoming, to embody your truth. And it's important to start releasing this shame around these stories, because when we talk about them, it's like a tight yarn that we're just sort unraveling, softly unraveling, right? We're unraveling the knots so that we can have conversations, so we can break the stigmas, so that we can start sharing and start healing, because it's time to heal. There have been unspeakable things, and things I don't even think I don't even think I want to share here, so, because that would just take us down a whole other rabbit hole. And I'm not here to create wild conspiracies. I'm here to talk about about our heart, about our truth, about how we can come back to ourself, no matter what. We have the ability. And part of that is mourning, mourning the innocence, mourning just the deep sorrow. And I feel that collectively, that I feel this sorrow that so many people have been hurt, and so many people have been abused and used as like lab rats. We're not lab rats, we're human beings and human becomings, and we deserve to know the truth. Because do you really want to live in a world where you don't? I want to know. And that's why we're here, to share some pieces. As always do your own research. Don't just take anything from anyone. Do your own research. But it's more personal, I think. For Alanna and I, we're here to talk about, like, we both went into the healing arts. Alanna is a clinical hypnotherapist, and of course I'm a teacher and a healer. Why do we go down these paths, right? Because somehow we want to understand the mechanics of the mind, right? And you could probably speak a lot on that, Alanna, with, your background as a hypnotherapist.
Wow. Rada, that was so like you speaking right now, it just was really healing for me. And it was really nice to listen to that. There's so much that came through. This is a process. It's not an easy path, and often people will seem like they don't like it. It's like half the people like it, and half the people are like, you're a know-it-all, or it's like, but I'm choosing to look at things on a serious level here. It's time to get serious. Part of this healing is, you don't have to go fight just because we're talking about it, but to become aware and acknowledge it. Acknowledge those shadow aspects of our collective that are causing this pain for us. And last night I did a lot of reading about the Graal and the Sand Graal and the Holy Blood, and I actually wrote down it's a step-by-step process of advancement into initiation, a progress on the infinite path of light. So as our other shows, we talked about initiation. And if this is somehow some divine plan that we came down here and we had to suffer to get where we are, because we're at a point in our history where like we're getting to a tipping point. And what I mean by that is like, you know, coming out of the, you know, the childhood nature that they've kept us in into our blossoming of who we are as like this divine race that literally can do anything here, and that we affect each other so strongly. Like it's our ego wants to stop us so much from like healing aspects between each other. But it's really important to, you know, heal even the smallest relationship when you get a chance to, because even the people who hurt you, they are suffering, you know, there are real, I want to say, in my opinion, I wholeheartedly believe that there are angels and there's demons. There's light and there's darkness, and there's things that hide in the darkness. Whether they're bad or good, I don't know. I didn't create them. Our Holy Mother and Father created all this stuff, and, you know, it's here for a reason. But it will take advantage of you unless we learn to pay attention to it and become aware and get out of those programs, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and you said that we have these conversations because we hold the staff. It's like we've self-elected ourselves. We've done a lot of work, and we're not the only ones too, which is beautiful. As you're doing awakening star seeds, like you're connecting with more and more people who are on certain paths, and it's really beautiful to see what's unfolding.
Yeah, and it's so nice to know that there's a community. There's so many people that do want to know what's going on behind the scenes, that are waking up, that are wanting to stand in the truth and the light, that are fearless in talking about uncomfortable things. If we really want to have the peace on earth, we are going to have really uncomfortable conversations to get there. Because until we deal with the wounds and the imprints and the control and the abuse is many, we will be stuck in a loop. And we can keep trying to ride over it, but we'll get pulled back into it again. The only way we can disrupt that loop is by having conscious conversations about them. When we bring our consciousness, we are coming with compassion. We're coming with our heart, with an open mind, and we are diffusing it through our ability to, it's like these huge shadows are coming forward, and we're not running from them and hiding. We're saying, okay, I'm willing to look at you. What do you need to tell me? What do you need to share? You know, we want to integrate the shadow. And so much of our society has been around projecting the shadow outside and not being willing to look at it, that this could be going on in our community. It could be going on in this world, in this country. We always want to put the bad guys outside, right? Outside this country, outside of our parameters. But that's not always the case. So when we can start being honest, we can start helping a lot of people, especially kids, especially the children that do not deserve to experience anything that they're going through, who have no voice, who have no ability to reach out and contact anyone. It's been uncovered over and over again in the past couple of years, all of these very dark rings, trafficking rings and all kinds of things. Tons and tons and tons, and it's not even scratching the surface. So we have to all face this horrible monster as a collective if we really want this to go away once and for all.
Right. Yeah, the body's an instrument, and I think that when we don't fully understand its capabilities, we could, you know, orgone, you know, the orgone pyramids, the way he discovered that was in relation to like our sexual energy as humans, our electric energy, sexual energy. And the body radiates that energy too. And we get our energy siphoned and it leaks when these things happen to us. So along with what you said, I think it's important to, you know, have an aspect of how the body works and take back your power to get in your body, to get here, to be present, you know, because dissociative disorders come through with all the stuff that we talked about. So yeah, there's some stuff coming out. So we're just, it's preparation, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is
so
like
learning to prepare so you can handle all these
very
things.
soft disclosure. I mean, this is like very soft here, right? You know, it's important to prepare your heart and your mind, because, you know, what we don't understand is that there are a lot of mass arrests that are occurring. You know, people, a lot of these indictments and things like that are going on. They're in envelopes. They're private. Like the public doesn't have any access to them, and there's thousands and thousands, and they're having private tribunals. And it's something that cannot be yet, you know, disclosed, because our society would cease to it would just go in total havoc if we just really, because a lot of people are not mentally or emotionally prepared for this kind of disclosure. Although it's going to happen one way or another, it will start to destroy illusions, and people's lives might start to unravel, because they're like, I've been lied to about my whole life about everything. Because once you start, this is like it's like pulling a string out of a dress, and it's just, you know what I mean? It's just, the whole thing is going to unravel. It is. You cannot see it because the dress is in the closet and it's being pulled apart. But you're gonna open the closet and be like, oh my gosh,
my dress is gone.
My dress is gone.
And you know, it's funny because like I got thrown off when I brought up the body, but the reason why I brought it up was to relate it to the sexual distortions, because the Wilhelm Reich, and I think there's somebody else, I can't remember, but they did research about a lot of the problems that we're facing as a collective is that when people have they call it genitalia dysmorphia, or like distortion in that field, when you don't have understanding of your sexual energy, when it's mutilated basically, because it's like a flower, you just opened it and its energy gets leaked out, so the chakras get broken into. So there's all this leakages going on. This is why it's important to heal these things and face them, so you can literally close up those gaps, close up those orifices, those holes in your aura, so you can fully be here. Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the secret societies, part of the initiations and stuff is about defiling young children. And the reason is, well, I can't really understand the reason, but as part of it is that, part of the excuse is that, especially for like little boys, they have obsessions with little boys, is that they're saying that it makes their kundalini rise. It does not make their kundalini rise by any means, as a young child, and brings them like great intellect and all of that. That's not true. It's just causing trauma, you know. But there's all of these
it's all based on a secret abuse.
Well, it's based on a secret and abuse. I mean, you can give it whatever, you know, magical ritual that you want to call it, or have an excuse of what it's about. But bottom line, you're violating a child. So that, you know, there will be a day of reckoning for that. very
Amen.
soon. Very soon. Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
believe it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can see that there's just so much coming up, but yeah, it's just a lot. But again, I'm not here to put people on trial. We're only here to have a conversation, and about also about the programming for people who've gone through different things and maybe have had fragmented memories or have felt disassociated or have things that they don't fully remember. I really think that's why I love hypnosis and regression, and a lot of those tools are wonderful, especially if you're in the hands of a healer. That's a great place to start, because it's very hard probably to really come to terms with things when you're just talking about it. Like talk therapy can only get so far. When energy and distortion gets lodged in your physical body, you actually lose it distorts. It has a distortion effect on you. You can have different symptoms like dis-ease or stomach aches or all kinds of various things that stem from this, right? Because it's not coming to the consciousness, so it has to like it's trying to work itself out in the unconscious, and that goes through the body, through your cells. When we don't release trapped emotions, that's how we get dis-ease.
Right. Trapped emotions cause disease.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Very much so. So powerful. That's so good.
I mean, yeah, so you guys, it's 11/11, you guys. Make a wish. Mwah. Make a magical wish of a world where we have transparency and truth and integrity. How about that? Sexual integrity, emotional integrity. And we're doing this as we're talking about it. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real, I always say. So let's talk about soul fragments and how we can restore our soul fragments, because through any kind of MK Ultra mind control, you are going through trauma abuse, and so you actually lose, because it's almost like we have this orb inside of us, right? And through certain various abuses on the physical body or mental or emotional, all of the above, or sexual. So what happens is it causes fragments, because it can't maintain its integrity when there's such harsh distortion going on, and so it has to fragment, and that's how other energies can come in. So your orb is getting other frequencies and energies. So I want to say that the healing process is about pulling. One of the most important things is pulling back your soul fragments. You can always restore yourself again, no matter what. You must go to a healer, go to a shaman, go to a hypnotherapist. I have done many soul fragment retrievals over the years, because they're the most powerful and profound ways that we call back the pieces. And you want to make sure that you're cleansing them and clearing them, or having your facilitator cleansing them and clearing them, activating them back to the frequency they were before they left. Because what happens is through abuse, the abuser is actually siphoning and stealing those pieces, the soul. They're so empty inside. They're stealing it and infusing it into them. But they're never gonna be full, because they have they're hooked into a matrix where they're always getting drained too. It's a horrible, horrible ongoing process, and you have to step off the wheel, because the perpetrator will never feel whole and never be full until they themselves call back their soul fragments and return all the fragments they've stolen as a thief from others. You do not want to steal people's soul fragments. That is,
a galactic no.
A galactic no. And also they can't sustain you. Other people's soul fragments cannot sustain you. They can make you feel high or give you energy for a while, but then you're going to have to, you can't, because it's not the exact frequency that you are. Therefore, you're going to keep needing more. Let's just say, once you start that wheel, you're already hooked into a dark, you're now having a dark entity that's feeding through you. You don't want to do that. You don't want to play that game of being a vampire, of having another being a vampire to you and another to them. That's the wheel of karma you will never get off of. It's perpetual suffering. It's, some people think it's immortal life, and I say no. You're on a.
Feedback is to take back your power, so you can fully channel your star energy.
Yes.
So you can pull in your literally, you have this power.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it's enough to say that you are God, but you have to also remember that you're part of something much bigger. And when you tap into that flow of that limitless potential and limitless light that I think we really come from, that's been severed, that's where our power really
lays. Yes, that is. We can
that
source
funnel.
Power ourselves, but we need to have that foundation inside of us. So we have to be able to receive more. So we have this light and we want to expand it. And how we do that is we call in our own light, because we have an oversoul. That's like a huge vortex of our own infinite energy. And so when you tap into that, your own source, your own well, you are abundant and you are wealthy and you are rich beyond your wildest dreams, my friend.
Affirmations.
Yes. And
here's a good affirmation. I hold the Christ energy and frequency.
Beautiful.
And I give acknowledgement of the divine inner shrine, and that I am that holy presence. It's in me. And when we all remember that is us, then I feel like it just changes the way we deal with things. Like even me, I can step out of my frequency sometimes, but when I'm right now, I feel really balanced and in tune because this is my passion. But then other times when I go to work and I go to serve or something, and I'm I can go into this mode of totally off my balance. And that's when your frequency is off. You have to follow really what ignites your heart.
Yeah.
Because the collective is suffering from a broken heart.
Yes.
And Savan Bomer, a phenomenal metaphysical teacher and pioneer of this, awakening, he talks about the heart, a broken heart being two halves of a thigh. Coming to, and it's literally broken. And so we're shielded off. Half of us is shielded from the mother. When I say mother, the mother, father, the heavenly parents aspect of our creation, our tribe. And when our hearts are blackened and they're not in place, then they're not light, so it's we have to really find balance in our heart and come to that inner peace, and that comes from connecting and healing. Understanding that your wounds affect other people, we're all affecting each other at such a microscopic level that it's really powerful, and we really can see that deeply. That's the creator's point of view. That's the God's eye. I really feel that's when you really can see the truth that we're all one.
Yes, you're so right about that. We all have our own morphogenic field, and that our bandwidth affects everything. We are part of all that is. It's if we were all in one heavenly body, and we're all cells in that body. If the cells that are emanating darkness, it's kind of like the cancer cells. I always think of the dark as cancer cells. They go and contaminate and just try to overtake healthy cells. And we have to say no. No, 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 no. You don't get that luxury. You don't get that luxury with me. I'm choosing to be a healthy cell. I'm choosing to contribute to the all of that there is. I'm choosing to be, because the healthy cells help create more abundance in the heavenly body of the divine, and we're all parts of the divine, right? And so we have to stand up to those other unhealthy cells and say, no, get back in your place. We're going to isolate you, put you in your place, and we're going to, push you out of here because you're trying to destroy everything and everyone in your path. And that's just not going to work. But that also takes being woke enough and brave enough to acknowledge that there's something also not right. Because when we have to be willing to acknowledge the darkness if we want to be in our full light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'm not gonna lie. I was about to post a little. I caught 11:11 earlier, so I'm posting and I'm tagging you in it on my Instagram.
I love it. Yes, that was perfect. We were like right at 11:11. So
amazing conversation today.
I know, you guys. I hope you're hope you're enjoying this.
And also I'm really putting it out there that this year I've been practicing more hypnotherapy, and I'm definitely taking clients right now of anyone who wants to work through trauma. I'm not perfect, but I definitely have done a lot of work, and I'm here and ready to serve whoever is ready to get clear, And so, our people who listen to this show, Bree and Rod are here. Whatever we can do to help, help you balance things out. Even just having someone to talk to you about it is, it helps us too. It helps us heal.
So the wounded healer is such an interesting concept, but it's from that wound that there's so much love too, and then the desire to help others and have compassion. But yes, Alanna is an incredible hypnotherapist. I went to her right before I had my surgery. I was really nervous about going to another country and getting, this huge transformation. I didn't know what was going to happen at all, if I was going to make it through, because I was that sick. And she did this beautiful session with me, and it really helped just calm me down and help me through this very difficult time in my life. So, there are resources, and I always say, like, I'd rather go to a healer that's been through some shit than somebody that's never been through anything. How could they possibly help you if they've never gone through anything? Like, that's not interesting to me. I want to go to somebody that's been through the most and then been through a lot, and then I know that they have the capacity to hold that kind of powerful space, right? Like, that's important to me. Like, how much life experience do you have?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I've definitely been through a lot of things, and I think it's not only, what you've been through, it's also that trial and error aspect that makes you, like, almost all great leaders have had struggle, and it's like, but it's like people can see the difference from where they were to where they are now.
Yes.
And that they're really trying to do good. They're really trying to make, actually someone taught me this today. She's a dance instructor at my studio. Her name's Cecilia. She says, I always teach my kids, you don't got to go too far right or too far wrong. Take the middle path. Stay focused in the middle, and I was like, you're right, because trying to be perfect all the time is really stressful. It's really stressful, and it could cause someone to freaking kill themselves. You see some kids in these prep schools, and like they lose their shit because it's so stressful. They want to be perfect, and then people who just don't really care that much, and they don't ever make an effort. There's this. The middle path is just always so beautiful. When you really break it down, it's just so beautiful. It's the middle pillar and on the tree of life. And that's where the foundation truly is. It's in the middle of the tree of life. So,
absolutely. And
everything's just an opposite of the other extreme.
Yeah, it is a great place to be. And that's why it's important to understand both. So you can walk in the middle and understand both, and that's why I don't go off. I'm like, okay, justice has a way of coming together. Things are happening. The most important thing is to maintain your own health and happiness right now, because when we are happy, when we're healthy, we're contributing to all that is, to the whole bandwidth. It's a huge contribution. So with that, do you have anything else to say, Alanna?
Yeah, last thing I say is that Mother Nature, I would say the Great Mother, I feel like she gives energy to everybody. She gives power. Mm-hmm. Our source, what do you call it? The Father, the Mother, God, it gives us so much power. And really what we do with it's our character, it's what we do with it that really matters. In the end of the day, it's like anybody can have power and anybody can do a million things, or they can become famous, whatever. But really, it's like, what are you doing with that power? How are you changing? How are you helping people? How are you influencing? How are you using that virtue? I think that's really important to think about, just as a note to with that. If you're someone who's got great power, I really hope that you're doing good things with it. I really hope that they're doing the best they can do.
And I do agree with you. I think
because a lot of people can do crazy things when they start, the real test is going to be when the egos start to rise, when this real truth starts coming out, and then you get to see really everyone's true colors. So yeah, I have to check myself sometimes. Like, I can get ahead of myself and people think I'm a know-it-all, it's like, but I don't mean to be, but it's like the ego just can get out of control. So I would try to find that grace. The grace is so important. Grace. That I was trying to tell myself, come back to grace. Don't go off track. So, but yeah, it's a great show. It was a great conversation, and they're always beautiful. And thank you, because every time I get healed from you just having conversations. So.
No, thank you so much, Alanna. You're a brave soul, and you're always willing to talk about this stuff that people are like, oh no. Yeah, you are a very brave soul, and that's part of your soul purpose, is to share, and the healing work that you do. You really are magnificent. I'm really honored to know you, and it's incredible that we've connected in this way and that we continue to do this. So thank you so much for joining us, you guys. We love you. We want you to be happy, healthy, and also to speak and share your truth. And to release any shame that you might have around certain stories. And that's one reason why I do Awakening Star Seeds, and all the storytelling ways that I share, even through my book. I share things that are not just quote unquote happy fairy tales. I share dark, honest, raunchy, real things, because that's what humans really go through in this particular period. So by doing that, my hope is to diffuse certain shame in sharing a less than quote unquote perfect story, love and light story, right? Because in the end, we are love and light. That's what we go back to. That's who we are at the core of our being. We're nothing less than that. So all of this is just, stories and experiences, and there's no shame around that. We came here for all of it, the full spectrum experience. And so we don't need to keep hiding it. We can talk about these things and have open, honest conversations. And I hope this has helped you in some way, that you take away something from this, and sending you all so much love as always.
Aho.
Aho, and blessings.